it is time for a story. If you'd like, maybe take a moment to get comfortable, and while you're doing that, I will tell you that this podcast and these stories are supported by patrons. So if these stories feed you in any way and you would like to offer something back and become a patron too, you can do that on patreon.com/Can I Tell You a Story. It's patreon.com/Can I Tell You a Story. And you will receive bonus stories, behind the scenes bits and pieces, and more things. You can check out what other things there are over there on the site. And now, let's get on with the story. When folks forget the old ways, the river spirit feels a hunger building in her belly. She doesn't have a word for it, this nameless longing that is demanding to be fed. The hunger pulls her up through the water and into human form, makes of her a woman full of need and wanting. The river, her river, is called the Ema River, but no one in town calls it by that name. They always say, down river. Going down river. You been down river? Old Jam caught some yabbies down river. Ginny, new and fresh and full of longing, is down river. Half in, half out of the water, in the sandy shallows where the current is gentle, bank protected by the trees with twisty roots into the water, drinking deep. Ginny wears a rust-red dress, watches it flutter as the current catches at it. Her feet are bare. She has dark hair and her skin is brown from the sun. Her eyes are hazel like water dancing over rocks. The smell of the water fills her, that river scent of water and sun and leaf litter and warm stone. She lies back on the bank, half in, half out. She's adrift, dreaming the afternoon, full of the hungry ache of wanting. The sun is warm and the water tugs at her dress. She watches the leaves move, up there between her and the sky, a gentle dance with the breeze. She feels the surface tension with her hands, soothes the river with her fingers. Ginny looks across the water through half-closed eyelids. There's a face across the river, dappled in the afternoon light. He's looking at her, lying in her rust-red dress in the shallows. The shadows across the water are brown and blue. He is very still. Like an animal, she thinks, come to drink the water. She studies the face, her eyes still half closed. He hasn't seen that she's looking at him yet. Full lips, a straight wide nose, sandy-coloured hair like the banks of the river. She opens her eyes. His eyes widen, but he doesn't turn and run. The water sounds louder, the insects, the sunlight is louder. The breeze has gone and the afternoon holds its breath. Yes, thinks Ginny, yes. She shifts in the water, rust-red dress fluttering around her, bare feet kicking up silt from the river bottom. She sits up, sudden, creating a splash. A spray of water flies across the river and marks him between the eyes, startled eyes, crinkling into laughter. Ginny and her river are laughing, the boy across the river is laughing, and none of them know why. His eyes are the colour of clouds, and they are looking at her, their gaze meeting in the middle of the river where the current runs the fastest. But, Ginny, he's saying, she wants to meet you. Ma wants to meet the girl who's stealing my heart. It's overcast, muggy, the river feels sluggish. There's a slowness to everything that makes thought hard. Ginny doesn't need to think today. She's all feeling the water against her palms. She's sitting in the river, dress fluttering around her, the young man sitting nearby up on the bank. His feet are whiter than the rest of him, toes meeting the edge of the river on the sand. I'll come, she says, when all of it is mine. His face isn't so open today. There are shadows in his cloud eyes. He doesn't understand. She feels greedy, and her greed sits prickly in her chest. Ginny knows it's the price he has to pay for loving the river, this almost man. But he has to pay it on his own. She can't take it from him. I can't leave the river, she says, until all your heart is mine. Greed falls into grief, and she sighs. Tentatively, he reaches for her hand, and she lets him, watches her fingers in his fingers, and wonders what it would be like to live a life where she's not half in, half out, half river, half woman. Wonders what it would be like to live where she's all something, all complete. All Ginny, she thinks, always, all the time, and looks up into his cloud eyes and laughs. What's funny, he asks. A woman who is a river falling for a boy who doesn't know the man he'll be on the banks of a river that hasn't had a lover in a very long time. He looks at her and doesn't laugh. I have to go, he says. There's a flat river stone now, under the tree, with the curling roots that sink down deep into the river. On the stone, drooping red flowers, a fresh green apple. Ginny lies in the water like a crocodile, nose almost touching the stone. Close up, the apple is more yellow than green. He's sitting on the bank, feet bare and dry, toes dug into the sand. We need different things, he says, calm, reasonable. Ginny wants to lash out, take him by the shoulders and shake him, make him see. She wants to call the river down in full flood and swamp his earnest concern. Ginny is neither calm nor reasonable. Ginny is afraid. She begins. I need too. He is loud. His cloud eyes don't see her there in front of him, not really, and his blindness hurts. I need a life, Ginny, a real life, a human life. I should be falling in love with a girl from town, not a river spirit who's demanding unending devotion. Ginny can feel her heart shrinking, collapsing in on itself, pulling her lungs in to fill the hole it's leaving. She can't breathe. Devotion is what spirits feed on. No devotion means no Ginny. No one to tend the river. No one to listen to its songs. No one to guide it in full flood when the rains come. Ginny's skin prickles into goose flesh. She sinks into the river and howls, fear and anguish and deep, desperate need. Then I will die, she says, quiet, when she comes back up. Then the river will die. It'll just be water, falling over rocks. He's quiet for a moment. That's not fair, he says. My life for yours. That's not a thing you can ask of a man. The river stone by the curling roots looks different now. It has a heart drawn on it, in pink pavement chalk, lopsided and full of truth. A can of smooth rocks, rickety stacked, cicada shells, smooth brown seeds the size of Ginny's little fingernail. The town kids love the river fully and completely. They learned fast to say hello when they came down river to swim. They speak secrets into leaves and set them on the water, watching as they're pulled into the current and away. Their parents pretend to be too old, but these days, when he's there alone catching yabbies, old Jam talks to the river, tells her exaggerated yarns of things he reckons he did in his younger days, back when he was the handsomest lad in any 3 towns you cared to name. Folds of paper jammed tight under the river stone say old Jam's not the only one to stop and pay their respects. Ginny drinks it all in. Ginny is ringing with their voices. She's the laughing water, the shifting shadows striped blue and brown. She is twirling eddies and the breeze that moves the leaves above the shallows. She is alive and fed with their attention, and her river sings. Some nights, when the moon is nearing full and sleep is hard to come by, Ginny meets a man at the water's edge. These still and breathless nights she raises a finger wet from the river and touches him in the centre of his forehead. He looks at her with eyes the colour of clouds while he bends to place a heart-shaped leaf on the river stone, and then he steps forward and joins her in the water. Thanks for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this story, and if you did and you want more, perhaps you'd like to become a patron. Patrons receive bonus stories and other things, including my endless thanks, which you can find out more about on patreon.com/Can I Tell You a Story. That's patreon.com/Can I Tell You a Story. Until next time, I hope your life is full of wonder, magic, and delight.